this channel, we share everything strange, terrifying, and mysterious, from forgotten legends to real events that defy explanation. Prepare to dive deep into the darkest corners of the mind, where logic has no place, only mystery and fear. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because what's coming is far more frightening than you think.
I inherited a farm from my father, a place I had never seen, only heard about in scattered whispers from my mother during her darker moments. It was called Black Hollow Farm. No one knew why it vanished from maps. Neighbors who once lived nearby either moved far away or simply refused to speak about it. When I finally stood at its rusted gate, I felt like I was staring into a memory that didn't belong to me. The trees around it were dead, but the air still carried the scent of something old, rotten. The farmhouse looked like it had aged a century, but this was mine now. I had to know why my father kept it hidden all his life. The moment I stepped through the front door, the silence shifted. It wasn't just empty, it was aware. Chairs were still in place. A cup sat half full on the dusty table. No animals, no power, yet the house hummed, almost like it was breathing. As I explored, little things started happening. The back door creaked open on its own. A mirror cracked slightly when I looked into it. I kept hearing faint whispers, but couldn't make out a word. Then I saw him. Sitting on the porch was an old man in a faded coat and wide-brimmed hat. I hadn't seen him come in. His eyes were cloudy, but his voice was clear. "I've been waiting for you," he said. I arrived at the farmhouse just before sunset. The place looked older than I remembered from childhood photos. Its wooden panels eaten by time, and the surrounding trees like silhouettes, frozen in a state of watching. No one had lived here in over 30 years. It had vanished from official maps, inherited only through a forgotten will left by my father, a man who never spoke of his origins. I stepped out of the car, gravel crunching beneath my boots. A strange feeling settled over me, like I was walking into a memory I didn't own. Inside, dust ruled everything. Cobwebs hung from ceiling beams like decaying curtains. The air smelled of old wood, damp soil, and something else, something faintly metallic. There were no signs of animals, no footprints, no insects, just stillness. I walked through the narrow hallway, noticing photographs still hung on the wall. They were all turned face down. The living room had a single armchair, positioned to face the window, and on the table next to it, a steaming cup of tea. Still warm, that's when I heard it. A creak upstairs. Slow, heavy, like a foot dragging across old wood. I froze, listened. Then, silence. I moved through the house quietly, floorboards groaning under my steps. Upstairs was darker, colder. There were only 2 rooms, one completely empty. The other was locked. Scratches covered the doorframe, deep, desperate marks, like someone had tried to claw their way out. I didn't want to know what was behind that door. Instead, I went back downstairs, to the kitchen. The walls were covered in wallpaper, floral, faded, but one section near the floor had peeled away. Behind it, a door, small, hidden. I opened it slowly. A staircase led down into the basement. I turned on my phone's flashlight and descended. The air grew colder with each step, thicker, like it resisted being breathed. The basement was deeper than expected. Stone walls, dirt floor, and strange symbols carved into the stone, symbols that pulsed faintly under the light. In the center stood a wooden chair, chained to the floor, and in front of it, a mirror. But the mirror didn't reflect me. It showed the room, empty, but something moved in it. A figure, tall, thin, standing where I stood. I turned around. Nothing. When I looked back at the mirror, It was gone too. That's when I heard him. "You came," a voice rasped. An old man stood in the shadows, his face partially hidden by a wide hat. I waited, just like he said you would. I wanted to ask what he meant. Who were they? But my voice didn't work. My mouth moved, but no sound came. The walls around me began to hum. Not with electricity, with memory. Visions hit me like waves. Flashes of people running, screaming, begging, then silence. Men in coats, tools, wires. Something being pulled from a person's chest, glowing faintly, then fading. I stumbled back, heart racing, breath shallow. When I looked up, the old man was gone, but I wasn't alone. In the far corner of the cellar, something stirred. Slow, shuffling movement just outside the flickering bulb's reach. It wasn't an animal. It walked like a man. But the sound it made, it was like breathing through water. I called out. It stopped. Then, slowly, it began to whisper, "I see the hollow. I see the hollow." It wasn't one voice. It was many, layered on top of each other. Men, women, children, all saying the same thing. I ran. I don't even remember climbing the stairs. When I reached the kitchen again, the cup was shattered. The chair was gone. And through the window, I saw it. The land outside had changed. No more dead trees, just black soil. Endless, stretching beyond the horizon. And dozens of figures, standing still, watching the house from the edge of the field. I didn't stay. I grabbed my keys, bolted out the door, and drove. Didn't care where, just away. But here's the part I can't explain. When I looked in the rearview mirror, the farmhouse was gone. Not like it disappeared into the distance. It vanished. Like it was never there. I stopped at the nearest gas station to ask where I was. The clerk looked confused. Said this area hadn't had a farm in decades. When I told him the name, Black Hollow Farm, he turned pale. "That place," he said, "they burned it down in 1971 after they found what was in the basement." I didn't ask what, I just left. And I haven't dreamed since that night. But every now and then, when everything's quiet, I hear it again. "I see the hollow